Welcome to That Music Podcast. Today, we are going to do things a little bit different and actually go into the vault because we are here over 200 episodes later. And there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about that has been a long time since we talked about that's still really important for us to share. So, we are going to be going all the way back to episode 49 and talking about 5 ways to teach a song. This is one of the most transformative ways that I re-envisioned how repertoire fits into my classroom, and how instead of just always kind of going through the same processes whenever we have a new piece, we can change it up a little bit. One, to just make it a little bit more interesting, but also because I realized that there's some songs that one of these ways work better than others. So being aware of the different ways to teach a song has really opened a lot of my eyes in the classroom, and I think it'll be good for you too. So let's go back in time all the way to an incredibly somehow still timely message about 5 ways to teach a song from episode 49.
You're listening to That Music Podcast with Bryson Tarvin, the curriculum designer and educational consultant behind That Music Teacher and the Elementary Music Summit. Each week, Bryson and his guests will dive into the reality of being an elementary music teacher and how music can truly be transformative in the lives of the students you serve. Show notes and resources mentioned in this episode can be found at thatmusicteacher.com.
Today we're going to talk about something that I didn't really think much about until I started my Kodai training. And that's like different ways to teach a song. Obviously, as music teachers, we teach a lot of songs, but I think it's important for us to realize that there are a lot of different ways for us to teach a song rather than just, doing the same way all the time. By alternating the way that we teach songs, we're able to reach different students, we're able to keep it a little bit more interesting, and we're able to use a different method for a song specifically based on the different characteristics that are in that song. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about 5 different ways to teach a song in the elementary music classroom. So I want to give a shout out to the wonderful Bruce Swank, my level 2 Kodai instructor, for kind of starting me in this journey. One of the assignments that we did in our Kodai trainings was basically we're assigned different ways to teach a song, and it was kind of like our lab teaching. And it was really interesting being able to and kind of being forced to think of things in a different lens, because up until this point, I'd been doing primarily teaching by rote, which is going to be the first one we're talking about, which doesn't mean that it's the only way that I taught things, but it definitely was kind of my go-to way of teaching songs. So let's go ahead and dive right in, starting with teaching by rote. You might hear this as teaching by rote, the whole part whole method, and this is wonderful. This is something I use every single day, at least once in each lesson, especially when I'm teaching a new song, which is teaching by rote. So where I have, let's say I'm doing the chant, I climbed up the apple tree. I would do this by breaking it down into smaller chunks and then having the students repeat it. So I would go, I climbed up the apple tree, and they would respond, I climbed up the apple tree, and so on and so forth. By allowing us to break it into chunks, we're able to really make it kind of work in that working memory. And then you just make those chunks a little bit bigger. So maybe the second time we go, I climbed up the apple tree. All the apples fell on me. And then they repeat it. So we break it into bigger chunks until eventually you have the whole thing. Something I've done recently is I like to kind of keep some more student engagement. If we're able to be successful on a smaller chunk, I'll say, Johnny, do you think we could make it a bigger chunk? And if Johnny says yes, I'll make it a bigger chunk. If Johnny says no, we'll try it again with a smaller chunk. And then we'll ask another student, Susie, do you think we're able to make bigger chunks? And we kind of think it's a cool way to bring the students into the lesson a little bit. Also, just saying their name is a really good way to bring some engagement back and kind of get those students that are kind of drifting a little bit and bring them back into what's going on in the class. But then eventually you're going to have that whole part whole. So you're singing the whole song, then you're breaking it down into smaller chunks, having the students repeat, and then eventually they're able to sing the whole song song on their own. This is another way that I learned about it in undergrad. We talked about I do, we do, you do. So eventually at the end, they're doing it without any assistance from you. Like I said, this is definitely the way that I teach a lot of songs because it's really simple, especially for the simpler songs. This can be really easy to use. What I will say kind of gets a little struggling when you're doing teaching by rote is those songs that have those pickups in them, the intercrucis, those songs that have a little bit longer phrases or a little bit more intricate melodic or rhythmic patterns. Sometimes those the teaching by rote can get a little bit clunky. And one thing that's really kind of makes it's not a great way to use teaching by rote is when you have multiple phrases that are kind of in a sequence, like circle to the left, old brass wagon, circle to the left, or how it goes up. Because then if I sing circle to the left, old brass wagon, I want the students to sing circle to the left, old brass wagon. But they might, depending on how many times you sung it without them learning it, they might be able to go circle to the left, old brass wagon, and then they're going to quote unquote echo circle to the left, old brass wagon, and they're going to be like, it's going to be off. So there are certain songs, and I don't even know how to describe that much, but I've started to notice that there are definitely songs that teaching by rote is not my preferred way to teach. The second way to teach a song or a chant is with motions. This is especially helpful with those songs that have more words in it because they can help kind of create a physical connection. So if I were doing, I climbed up the apple tree, what I would do is I would actually, as I'm teaching the song or as I'm saying the song, or even honestly while I'm teaching by rote, is I would have some motions, and I'm realizing I'm just literally sitting at my desk doing this and you can't see me, but I'm climbing up a tree doing some motions, and then on all the apples fell on me, I'm hitting my head because all the apples are falling down. And that's great because when you're kind of transitioning from the we do to you do, you're able to remove yourself saying the lyrics or saying the chant or saying the songs, but still do the motions to help the students out in that way, and then eventually back that off so they're able to do it without any help from you at all. Motions are great, especially when you need to add a little bit more movement. Say, our students, we need to kind of get things moving along, or we need a little added motion, but it can be really cool and really helpful to just add some motions or to use the motions that are already in a song that you might do to teach the song as well. Because again, you're creating that visual connection, you're creating that physical connection, but you're also making that connection to what they're hearing and what they're saying. The third method is one that I use every single day, and I didn't even realize I was doing it for the longest time, and that's asking guided questions. I saw this modeled when I was doing my junior methods placement in undergrad, and it just became like a part of how I teach, and I didn't even realize it had a name. So if I were to teach a song, I'd be like, all right, I have a song for you, and I want you to listen and see if you can tell me what is the name of the person in my song. And then I would say, every time I think Eliza, water come on me, or whatever. But basically, I'm giving them something to listen for. And then so, all right, so what is the name of the person in my song? And they're like, oh, it's Liza. I'm like, you're right, it is Liza. All right, this time I want you to listen. I want to see if you can tell me what happens every time the person hears their name. We're like, so you're tricking them into allowing you to repeat it multiple times by giving them something to think about. Or another one I love, especially with repeated words. I was like, how many times do I say this? Like for circle to the left, I would say, all right, I want you to count how many times do we say old brass wagon? Like circle to the left, old brass wagon, circle to the left, old brass wagon. And basically they're counting. Again, you're giving them something to do, something to listen for, so that you can give them more exposure to the song, so that when you start having them sing, even if you're combining these, but by having those guided questions, you're allowing them to have more exposure, so that when it is their turn to sing, they're able to have more success because they have it in their ear a little bit more. The fourth way that I love teaching songs is actually one that I've just started experimenting with. This is one that I learned with my levels training with Bruce Swank, and it has changed, especially with my upper elementary kids, or those songs the songs. Oh my goodness, it's so hard to teach a song, but the game, they wanted to play the game so much, and that's what this one is teaching the song with the game. So basically, this kind of flipped the script on me. I've always used to be, all right, we have to learn the song so we can play the game. But this one is literally flipping on the script. Said, hey, we're gonna play this game as I sing the song. It's tricking them into having that exposure. They're hearing the song, they're hearing me sing it, but they're getting immediately engaged in how awesome the game is. I just used this past week with this song, "Je Toep Drum." That is one of my favorite songs, but it's kind of hard to teach. It's a little bit clunky for Rote, especially with like the uneven phrases. But by going right in with the game, especially with my older kids, since we haven't been able to sing for a while, and kind of tricking them into, hey, look how cool this game is, so that we can sing. By teaching them with the game, and basically having them experience the game before they really are asked to sing, it allows them to let their guard down a little bit. It allows them to have the song repeated to them multiple times while they're still engaged. And then when it's their turn to sing, we do the I do, we do, you do. When it's finally their turn to sing with us, they're like, all right, I know that if I want to keep playing this game, I have to sing this song. I've heard it enough. We can keep doing this. And it changed completely how I teach Je Toep Drum specifically, because that was one that I always struggled teaching, but I knew that once I got through it, the kids would absolutely love it. And then the final way that I love teaching songs is my absolute favorite, but it takes a little bit of work. And that's using a story to tell and to teach a song or a chant. This is a wonderful way to weave different parts of your lesson together. It's also a way to get the intrigue, get that connection, get that engagement for your students. One that comes to mind immediately is my first school that I teach at in the morning is right across the street from an orchard. So whenever I go to my other school and I teach, I climbed up the apple tree. I say, oh my goodness, today on the way over here to school, I saw the orchard across the street, and I was kind of hungry because I forgot my lunch at home, and I was a little bit hungry. So I walked over to the orchard, and I went over to the apple tree, and then I climbed up the apple tree. And then when I got to the top of the apple tree, you are not going to believe what happened. The apples started falling and hitting me on the head, and all the apples fell on me. And oh my goodness, I was a little bit grumpy after all that happened. But when all the apples fell on me, there were a bunch of apples that had just fallen on the ground. So I picked a couple off. I washed them off a little bit on my shirt. I put them in a basket. And then as soon as I got home, I made apple pudding, apple pie. And then I looked in the mirror, and I forgot that I didn't go to school. So I had to make up an excuse. So I looked at myself and I go, did you ever tell a lie? Or something silly like that, right? I'm still saying the chant. I'm still breaking it into chunks. But I'm bringing it in a way that allows the students to kind of come along in this journey with me, the art of storytelling. That story was a little off the walls. I kind of got away from me there towards the end, but I mean, you get the point. It's one of those things where you kind of think it through, and how can I weave this together? And what's great about with the story is that I've talked previously about transitions, but using stories as transitions and into songs and to keeping everything seamlessly melded together, that is another wonderful way to keep students engaged. So this is by no means an exhaustive list of the different ways that you can teach the song or chant, but I want you to think about the 5 ways that I showed and that I shared today, and see if you can think of some more, or think of ways that you can use these that are going to be most successful for you in your classroom. Because there are some of these that I use more often on specific songs than others. Like I said, with Je Toep Drum, teaching it by rote does not work for me in my situation. But by teaching it with a game, it's allowing my students to still have the same access to that song. It goes quicker, it's not pulling teeth, and we're able to get into the music making a lot quicker. So I hope that you have enjoyed hearing a little bit about the different ways that I teach songs. If you have different ways that you teach a song or a chant, I would love for you to reach out either on Instagram or email and let me know, because I'm always looking for ways to add in more methods of teaching a song, or especially having the kids understand the song into my little tool belt of tricks.
I hope you found that episode as timely as I did. Again, it's been a while since it was originally recorded, but I think a lot of the content still stands. Those different ways that you can teach a song can really change the layout of your classroom, kind of really change the way your lessons work, but also just give you some other opportunities so you don't feel like you're just teaching by rote every time or just teaching by reading the notes or whatever. You can literally rotate through these different ones so that you're able to try some different things, keep that engagement up, and always have something new up your sleeve. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the podcast, as always, it would mean the world to us if you leave us a review or a comment wherever you are listening. Especially if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe icon and the bell icon so that you can make sure you don't miss out on any new episodes as we release them every Wednesday. And until next time, as always, thank you so much for making a difference in the lives of the students that you teach.